What's up, guys? Welcome to the Peer Review Podcast. My name is Caleb Davis, and I'm your host. I know it's been a while since I have recorded. I've been in a little bit of I call it a funk since returning back to campus. I attribute that to a bunch of different things. I got a little sick when I got back up here. Senioritis, obviously. I'm in my last semester, just going through the motions. I'm not done with school by any means, but yeah, a little bit of senioritis kicking in, getting adjusted, getting acclimated. But I'm back and I'm here to stay. So before we get started, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and follow us on TikTok at Peer Review Podcast. And there's one small change that I am in the process of undertaking. And so with that, I decided to kind of move away from the peer review Twitter or X account that I was using and kind of lean more into my personal account just because I do the same thing on both. Like I comment on things I post, I share my thoughts on games or things that are going on, and it's a lot of work, being a college student, trying to manage two Twitters, a TikTok, YouTube, so I'm trying to cut down my responsibilities, and this is something that's like an easy fix. So follow me on X at CalebCD. That's my personal account. Like I said, same thing. I do the same things on there. Post a lot, tweet, yeah, all of that. So check it out. But for today, I have three topics, and they're a little outdated, and that's okay. So I'm going to start off with the All-Star starters were announced last week, and I'll just give my quick thoughts on the starters. I thought the list on both sides was pretty good, and then the reserves are also being announced later this week. So I kind of take a guess as to who I think is going to get drafted into the reserve spots. And then I'm going to talk about the Lakers and their 3-game winning streak after they kind of handled the depleted, albeit they were depleted, Golden State Warriors. That was a very fun game to watch for me. And like I said, they're starting to, it seems like, hit their stride. They got Vando back. And there was just a lot of positives to take away from that game. And then I'm going to finish things off with, I just want to talk a little bit about Khalil Ware, the Heat's 15th overall pick this season. He's a rookie, and he's just been balling. They've moved him to the starting lineup, and he's just been thriving. And I am happy to see it. If you have been a Heat fan, like, we have all been pushing for it all season. Like, everyone has wanted Spo to go to the too big look because it wasn't like Bam is undersized, and you just need a running mate beside him, and Khalil kind of helps serve that purpose. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started though. So the East All-Star starter, like I said, the All-Star starters were announced, and on the East, on their side, they had Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Cat, Tatum, and Giannis. The usuals, as to be expected. I was shocked that the Knicks. Actually, I wasn't shocked. I take that back. But they got two starters. I think it's deserved. They've been a very solid team this season. But yeah, I don't have much stripe with their starters, and I was fine with everyone in each position. Like, I think Jalen Brunson, the Knicks are, I believe the 3 seed, if they're not, 3 or 4 seed, winning games. Donovan Mitchell's on the best team in the East. Cat, same reason as Brunson. He's been balling too for the Knicks, averaging career highs, but also just he's on a good team. They're winning games, and you should reward that. Same with Tatum. He's been an All-Star starter, it seems like, since his rookie season. Like, he's just continuing to stack accolades. And then Giannis, has to be expected. He's in the MVP conversation. He's carrying the Bucks, and they're just doing their thing. Now, as for the reserves, I think the East is where it's going to get a little bit tricky because they have a lot of good guard play. I think that, like, right off the bat, I think Dame and Cade are the two, like, outside of that group, like, the second bunch of, like, most deserving guards. I think they'll be named All-Stars. Like, obviously Jaylen Brown, I believe Evan Mobley. And then as far as, like, wild cards, I think Trae Young and Darius Garland, like, those are the two toss-ups. I think if I had to like, pick between the two, like, I lean slightly more Trae Young just because he's doing a little bit more for his. He has to do more than Darius Garland for his team, but Darius Garland's on, again, the best team in the East, so it's hard to not give him the nod, even though he's not averaging the same. You know, his numbers aren't as. But I'm looking at it right now. Actually, his points have went up since I last kind of visited this discussion. So it's really a toss up. Honestly, it's just what you prefer. But Darius Garland, Trae Young, they're both very deserving of that last spot. But I think LaMelo Ball is going to be the snub of the group, just because his team is the worst of the bunch. Like, yes, he's averaging around, I think it's close to 30, but not very efficiently. They're not winning games, and I just don't think you can reward that over guys who are winning games and have them teams in a playoff or play-in hunt. That's just my opinion, though. Now, moving on to the West, their starters were Shea, Curry, Nikola Jokic, LeBron, and then KD. And I didn't have a problem with this list either. Like, a lot of people were down on Curry being a starter, and at first, because he hasn't been playing as well as, he hasn't been playing like one of the greatest point guards of all time, Steph Curry. He's been a little worse than that, and I mean, it's to be expected. Like, he's aging, but I don't think guys like Ja, who's averaging 20 points per game, or like I get he's like the 2 seed in the West, but I don't think he has like a definitive case to be named over Curry, or like De'Aaron Fox. Like, yeah, he's putting up numbers, but he's the 10 seed. The Warriors are the 11 seed. So, like, is there really that big of a mix up there? I think Curry gets it on like his stature, and same way, like, I guess you could say the same could be said for, like, I don't agree with this, but like LeBron and KD, like, but then you can't knock KD out because their record without him is atrocious, and then LeBron has been hooping as of late, so I'm okay with the list. I think everyone there is well deserving, and yeah, the only other guy I could think maybe swapping Curry with is Anthony Edwards. But that, the fan vote definitely came in a factor there, and I think that's probably where it went out. But now onto the reserves for the West. Like I said, I just mentioned his name. Anthony Edwards for sure will be an All-Star. Then I'm gonna go with Kyrie. I think he has a better case over Ja Morant and De'Aaron Fox. I think, especially with Luka being out, like, his numbers have been elevated, and he's been having a very, very good season, even though they've kind of been tanking since the injury bugs hit their team. But next, I think Victor is going to be a first-time All-Star, and this would be the one replacement maybe that you would have said, oh, he could have been a starter, maybe over LeBron or KD, but I still disagree. I just think you have to go with it's like their legacy so far. That's kind of what it's going on, and their merit. Like, you just have to give them that spot and give them a nod. But after Wemby is going to be AD. He's for sure going to be an All-Star. And then this is where I'm a little I'm at a toss up, because I feel like that next front court spot could go to Sengun. Like, he has the Rockets hooping. He's been having a great season. Sabonis, maybe J-Dub. I think that's the longest shot, but I don't know. I feel like that spot could go to a couple of people. But I guess if I had to pick from the group, I think it'll probably be Sengun, just because he's on the second best team in the West, and the Rockets are hooping, and yeah, second or third. The standings keep moving around, but I'd assume probably be Sengun, and then as another wild card, I think Jaren Jackson gets to not, because again the Grizzlies are hooping this season. But yeah, like I said, I don't think the starters were bad by any stretch. I'm content with the list, and yeah, there's nothing we can do about it at this point, but conversate and speculate, and I don't know. But I think the reserves are definitely going to be a little more of a toss up, because they're, especially like in the East, the backcourt, the guard. There's a lot of good guard play, and then in the West, the bigs out there, like, they're competing towards that like lower echelon, the back end of the All-Star game, that tier of player. But moving on to my next topic, the Lakers versus Warriors, and again, this was the Lakers' third win in a row, and it was a 118-108, 10-point win for the Lakers on the road, but they basically handled the game like through and through. I just wanted to touch on, because I noticed a couple things from the Lakers that have picked up for them as of late. And I also just wanted to touch on Vando a little bit and him returning, because he is one of my favorite players for them. he has been out for almost a year. Like they were severely lacking what he brought to the table, and it was just good to see them back out there. But the first thing that kind of jumped off the screen to me, and that has as of late with the Lakers, is just they're running a lot more off ball action. So like instead of just standing around, everyone just watching, LeBron run a pick and roll with, Austin or Jackson Hayes or AD, like guys are just doing more. Like when LeBron's running a ball screen with someone, oh, you have, I don't know who's out there doing it. Like DFS, like back screening for Max Christie in a corner. So boom, they have like a kick out three if they want, or you know, it was a lot of DFS, but DFS screening for Austin as he like runs out of the right corner to get like a relocation three at the right wing, or he can catch it there and drive. Like it just opens up a lot more action for them, and it makes their offense a lot more fluid. It's not as stagnant, and you're keeping guys involved, and that also keeps the defense paying attention, so they can't just key in on LeBron and AD and what's going on with that action. And excuse me, this has been something that like they were doing a lot in the beginning of the season, and they've kind of moved away from. And it's good to see them starting to pick it back up because their offense had been kind of going through these stretches where they like couldn't score since trading D'Lo because you're losing that playmaking that he has and ball handling. So it's put a lot on LeBron and AR, and this just it makes their jobs a little easier because when you're having to make every single decision, you have more going on, more options. It's less likelihood of you making a mistake. Well, it just gives you more options. You don't have to force things as much. Just things run a lot more smoothly. Now, the next thing that I noticed, especially in this game, was their corner 3-point shooting. I was trying to find the stat to just see like what their percentage was from how many threes they made in this game because it felt like they didn't shoot amazing from three, but it felt like every single three they hit was from either that left or right corner. Like Max Christie had a stretch where he came down, he hit back-to-back threes, but he had one on the left, one on the right, shooting very well. And then Dalton, the same thing. Like he had a three on the left, three on the right, in like back-to-back sequences. And I think Dalton had like two or three from the corner actually. And then like even like DFS chipped in. Vando caught the ball in like a short roll, and he swung a pass to DFS in the corner like when they checked in. And he hit a corner three. Like they were just on fire from the corner. And that's a good sign. That's the easiest 3-point shot to hit. And if you can hit it at efficiency like they were doing, like you're more than likely gonna win more games like this. And like I said, that off-ball movement, that screening for each other, just opening things up, is good for the Lakers offense. And I just felt like in this game, the Lakers would hit a lot of timely threes, which kind of helped maintain their leads during key moments. Like they'd go up 10, and then the Warriors would fight back, and boom, the Warriors got it within three, and then oh no, there's a Max Christie corner three, or there's a DFS corner three, like, and boom, the leads back up to 6 and then 9, and they would just do a good job of when they needed to hit shots to regain control, they were doing it. And then just to cap it off, they had a big stretch in the game while Anthony Davis was resting towards the end of the third quarter into the fourth, where it was just like a LeBron-led unit with DFS and Vando, and I think he had Gabe out there with them, but they like normally those lineups like tank and they let teams off the hook and they get back in the game. But no, LeBron was great in that lineup. Like the role players were great in that lineup. They actually increased the lead. I think they went up by 11 before AD even got back in, and it was just a good performance from them. On the Vando side of things, real quick, I thought he looked great to have not played in a year, like to come back out. And like the first thing I personally look for, like when a guy comes back from injury, is like how they're jumping and landing and like planting, because when you get hurt, like there's like a fear factor when you come back. You have to make sure you're adjusted and acclimated to your body. You're a little more, you're scared to re-injure that same, like for him it was, I think he had double foot surgery. Like it's it's worrisome like coming back out there, but he didn't. He looked comfortable. He's running around, jumping for everything, outrunning everyone. Like every offensive rebound, he looked good. He didn't look like he was in any pain, and that's just such a good sight to see him being off for so long. And off rip, like you saw the changes to the defense. Like they had a possession where they forced a shot clock violation where You had Dalton Connect rushing to the corner and closing out. That they swing pass, boom. Then you have AD rushing out, closing out, another swing pass, and then I think it was Vando who closed out on Pods, forced a shot clock violation. But like you haven't seen the Lakers play defense like that all season, so it was just it's like a breath a breath of fresh air, like having Vando come back and it's inserting him, and you just see the changes automatically. Like you see him pushing guys when they're out of position, like pushing them into position. I saw him do it to Max. I saw him do it to Gabe. Like you see him out there talking, just moving around. Just they didn't have a guy like that. Like DFS is a great defender, like a solid defender, but Vando is a different level of athlete, I think. Well, not I think. You can tell, like, he's 6'10", 6'11", super long wingspan, super fast, can jump high. Like, just a different level of athlete that they haven't. He's like an A+ athlete that they haven't had available this season. So it's just I'm excited for him to be back. And he was only on a minutes restriction, and I think he was plus 12. Like he had 2 steals, he had some rebounds, he scored on a putback. Like he had an open three, and it didn't look horrible, like in the corner, and he wasn't scared to shoot it. Like a lot to look forward to with him returning. And it just gives you another body and another more lineup flexibility because they were kind of depleted at forward with him out. Their lineup has just been, and their front courts in general have just been depleted with Vando and Christian Wood being out. So it just gives you more flexibility. And if they don't move anyone before the deadline, like it gives you a little more optimism that he came back looking so ready to go. So good for them. Now on the Warriors front, real quick, whenever the Lakers pulled away in this game, the Warriors were doing a good job of up until the fourth quarter responding with big threes of their own. Like whenever, like I said, the Lakers would go up 10, boom, the Lakers hit a three. Like Andrew Wiggins hits a three and then goes and gets a layup. Like, or they just did things they didn't let the game get fully out of hand until the fourth. And you just saw that throughout the game. Like whenever it kind of, they start to lose. You could tell the game was going in the wrong direction. Like, boom, they'd figure out a way to score. But the Warriors, like they have all season, and especially without Draymond and Kuminga, they struggle without Curry on the floor. And they had these long scoring droughts because they don't have a lot of good like ball handlers or shot creations outside of Curry, and it puts a lot on him. And when he's off the floor, like that's usually when you have a guy like Kuminga out there who can, go and try and get his own bucket, get downhill, or Hope and Buddy Hield can like lead in those units, but it just wasn't happening. They didn't play Schroeder a lot. Like he hasn't been very good in the Warriors system, and I didn't really like the trade when it happened. And I know that there's still time, and he'll definitely improve once guys like Draymond and Kuminga are back in the lineup, and he's not like it's not just him as like the lead ball handler out there when Curry's out, but I don't think they've been. He hasn't fully acclimated to their system yet, and his numbers have been really down since joining the Warriors. But he had a good stretch at the beginning of the game where he hit like I think he hit 4 threes in this game. He started off really well though, but it just kind of went away from him. But just on real quick, I thought Curry. I feel like I said, he's definitely played below his means this season, and you see that a lot in the second half where I don't know if it's him being fatigued or definitely like without Draymond out there helping to create for him, like it's a lot for him. But like he didn't score in the second half, and this isn't the first time this season where he hasn't scored in the second half. And the thing with him is like he's struggling to create space, and when there's no one creating for him, like it's hard. Like when he's trying to run a ball screen, like he's getting blitzed, so they're getting the ball out of his hands, and there's just on one hand, like I want to say this is him, Father Time, him regressing, but also I just think it's the roster makeup and their build. Like there's not a lot for him to do with this squad, and it's a lot easier for him to be blitz and be double teamed and get trapped and it's a lot easier to get the ball out of his hands. So I just think that's what's been going on. The Warriors, and the Lakers are like they're both in this, like they have these aging superstars, and I think they both should be going in to like all in mode because once LeBron and Curry are gone, like I'm gonna keep saying it, these franchises are going to go down the hill, and I don't think they quite understand that. Like The only thing keeping you up right now is these guys. So you should invest in them while they're here, and you just live with the results. But I'm not gonna go too much further on that. I just want to close off the show though by talking about Khalil Ware, the Heat's rookie. He just moved up to the top of the Rookie of the Year odds at plus 190 odds to win Rookie of the Year. And the Heat really just started giving him big minutes. Like there was a lot of talk during the beginning of the season because we needed a big out there. We needed a backup big, and they were playing like Kevin Love, I love Kevin Love, locker room guy, stretch big at times. Like when he's hitting his three and rebounding, like he still can be a positive, but you need like Khalil is just levels above him as a defensive player at this age, and just more size. Like he's 7 feet tall, like versus 6'8" Kevin Love or 6'7" Bam. Like it's just nice having a 7-footer out there when other teams have these big bruising centers. And kind of where it all started was in that Spurs game a couple weeks ago. Like Spo elected to pair Bam and Khalil during when they were down about 7, and he throws them in as a lineup, and they end up winning by 16 points. And he throws in Khalil Ware and Bam, so Bam moves up to the power forward, and it sparked a 36-13 run in 13 minutes. And he just did a great job on Wemby. Like he got a block on him, I believe, and he matches up a little. It gives you more size out there. That's the biggest thing that I'm trying to point to. Like the Heat have not had, they've been undersized the entire Jimmy Butler era. Like you had 6'5" PJ Tucker, you had Haywood Highsmith, you had Caleb Martin. Like you've never had a real power forward. So this allows Bam to move up and play power forward, which is a position that he enjoys. And then it pairs him next to a big. And you saw this in the Olympics when Bam, obviously this is a much like larger, like AD is a much better player than Khalil Ware. So of course pairing Bam next to him, they're gonna look good. But pairing Bam next to another big, like you see his versatility. Like he can kind of move into more of a Draymond role in defense, where he can just be like a free safety and move around and blow up plays and switch on the perimeter and helps a rebound. There's just so many benefits to it. Now, the Heat's record with Ware this season, they're 14-50 when he plays in games, but as a starter, they're 2-1. Albeit it's a small sample size, but in these games where he has started, he has thrived. Like in these 3 games since starting, he's been averaging 16.3 points, 10.3 rebounds, 0 assists, so none at all. That's something we got to work on, LOL. But 1.3 steals, 2 blocks, and another big thing that I've noticed from him, like he's shooting 38% from 3 on 5 attempts, which isn't amazing. And I just want to say, for the record, he's 38% on the season, but it's the fact that he's willing to take them. Like I said, on 5 attempts, like he's not afraid. So that's the thing with Bam. Like Bam is not a plus. Bam is not an amazing offensive player. So for him to work being paired next to another big, they have to be a shooting threat. And Khalil isn't where you want him to be right now, obviously, but that shows that he can develop, and he's not afraid to shoot the ball. That's something you also need with, because Bam is a little more of a reluctant scorer, whereas Khalil, if he's open, he's gonna shoot it, and like there's no fear behind it. Like he's gonna let it fly, and that's just such a good pairing to have with Bam, especially if he becomes like in the future. Like let's say he gets to like 38% on 5 attempts, like then you have a really elite stretch big, like hybrid defender who can rebound, super athletic, like. There's just a lot of potential for this group, and I trust that the Heat will be able to develop him into that. But I'm hoping, especially once they move off of Jimmy, if that does ever happen, I'm hoping like that they continue to keep him in the starting lineup, get him reps this season, and get those two paired up. And it opens up so many possibilities for the Heat's defense. And it would be so nice to see like if Jimmy stops getting suspended like every other week, like before he goes, like him, Khalil, Bam, a little more, like that defensive lineup. Just be nice to see how they look out there. But as far as Khalil, he has a 7'5" wingspan. Like he's insanely tall. He has to put on a little bit more weight, but that's like he's a rookie. That's as to be expected. But he's 7 feet tall, insanely long wingspan. He's a solid rebounder. He can block shots. He's a good finisher at the basket. Really good vert. Like he has these like monster dunks, like super powerful dunks. He'll hit like acrobatic layups, like switching hands midair. He's solid. Like I said, he had 0 assists in those 3 games, but he's not a horrible passer in the short roll either. Like he can make reads, he can play 5 out and run handoffs. Like he's just a solid big, and I just it's exciting. Like we haven't had a prospect in a while besides like Tyler Hero, as our latest guy, and it's exciting to see another young guy coming through and stepping up. But that's all I have for today. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Peer Review Podcast. I'm going to try to be a lot more consistent, moving back into the dorm. I told you guys I gave my excuses, but no more. I'm going to get back into the swing again, a swing of things. But please make sure to share the podcast with your friends and family. As follow us on the new handle on X at CalebCD and on TikTok at Peer Review Podcast to stay up to date with our latest episodes and releases. This is the Peer Review signing off.